We made it!
Hold on, let me call up Pokey here real quick. I lived, bitch.
After everything we went through. Didn't even think we were gonna make it back. That was gonna be it for us. Pooh's a dork and we all love him.
Oh, I think it's
also
an
he
actual
just
thing.
gets also he just gets friggin' teleport gamma or something.
I mean, PSI farewell. Stop kissing me. I'm in front of Paula.
Come on, dude, we're closer than that.
I'm 12.
That's what you're striving for?
I'm 12. Also, I think we'd, like, be, you know, better friends about that, but whatever.
Like, come on, man. You're worrying about fixing our broken appliances? If you're not best man... Also, I don't want you fixing our broken appliances. You fix them and turn them into death lasers.
I fixed your remote and made it...
I made it even better! Cool! Jeff, there's a hole in my TV.
No, it's like a nuclear launch code thing. It's just... TV, top of the TV opens up. Jeff?
Hey! We did it!
Was scared. LKO. I strong. Dong.
The Mr. Saturns are still the best.
Should we get the presents?
Yeah. Ooh. And then you have to use it in your inventory.
Help!
So are me. Well, we've got a full inventory of presents. Wow, we do actually.
Oh, look at that. Ness just read something real quick. What were the odds of that?
Darn it, Ness.
I told you I like eating things.
Oh man, Mom!
I think we'll save that for last.
Oh man, it's gonna be good to get back and see Mom again.
Oh.
Maybe we shouldn't read this. Maybe we should just give it to Jeff.
No, I didn't read it.
Oh, this is neat though. I didn't know something happened if you actually went up to Jeff.
Oh, so you can actually read it and then go... I thought you were just going to give it to Jeff and everything. And then go right here.
I didn't know you could actually show it to Jeff.
Well, it's like every other item in this game.
I mean, I figured like you just read all these letters. I like that even Jeff is like, man, Tony's cool.
I want to see that again, because I kind of blared through that.
Alright, let's check out that letter from Mom. I mean, yeah, both of those are understandable when there's one less head.
Well, I think the point was that the whole time Ness was actually kind of a selfish brat growing up, and that's why they ate steak a lot. But now that he's kind of grown and been a little bit more of a, you know, worldly traveler, he's like, maybe we can just eat stuff that everyone else likes more often.
I feel like it was fed both ways. Like,
Googie.
like, Googie. Like, he friggin' really likes steak. And Mom is probably like, I mean, he likes steak, I'm gonna make him steak.
Great, how much does Dad make that he can have steak like 24/7?
Well, look how much money he's sending you, I think you're fine.
And they imply, like, he borrowed money from Aloysius
Yeah.
Finch.
How much can I give you? I'll just pay you back. How much was it? I can buy like 8 houses.
I'm pretty sure at this point it's like he just borrowed the money to screw with Aloysius. It's like, I don't even need the money, but I just want to mess with him.
Yeah. Well. It's leveled up in my gut stat. I don't know how long he would have made it. Like, we've been through a lot of crap to be able to fight through that. Oh, before you go to Tucson, go to Foresight. Well, that's actually good then.
Yeah, it's like you just said, go to Foresight, and I was like, alright, I'll purposely smash into somebody. Foresight, right?
Yep. Go to Foresight and go to Summers. So I'm saying go to Foresight, go to Jackie's Cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be just up left. But I want to talk about how much I friggin' love that finale, though. That amazing, amazing final boss. Because the whole game has been a very kid-friendly game. But not like for children. Like, there are obvious stakes. There's obviously serious stuff going on. Even if... like, there are obvious stakes. There are dangers. Even if it's all kind of phrased in a work-safe kind of way. And, like, I love that about the game. I love both aspects about that. I love that they could make a game that was phrased in a work-safe, kid-safe kind of way, but still tell what amounts to a serious story, with serious stakes to it. And coming to that at the end. Yeah, Pokey's friggin' gone.
I think the point is that he actually shows up after you take care of the stuff in the Monotone building. Is that the only thing in here?
Yeah, that was mostly it. Just wanted to see him. Go to Summers. But I love how much the stakes were increased at the end.
I mean,
it was
all
such
right,
a,
but I'm not
like,
PSI points.
It was such a tonal shift going into that final fight, but it wasn't done in that, like, horror kind of way. It's weird how it did such a monumental tonal shift. You're going into the museum. It's such a monumental tonal shift, but somehow it still kept that same bass tone as the rest of the game. It didn't, like, come out and suddenly become this, like, oh, it's terrifying and gory and nightmare-inducing. It's like, no, they made something terrible and horrible, but they still kept it the same. I think you can just walk in. I think it's like a celebration or something that, like, hey, for whatever reason, you can just go in for free. Wow, really? You just let us walk in, but then you're gonna charge us if we come back and talk to you? Okay, so this is what I was mentioning before about the various flags in the system.
Sorry, it's just I wonder what Porky's Pokies do.
So, when you beat the game, they put in a flag that says you cannot be susceptible to environment effects, or any effects, for that matter. And what this lets you do is stuff like, you can walk around in the desert and not get sunstroke. You can walk around in deep darkness and not take damage.
You probably also don't get homesick anymore.
Probably don't get... Yeah, you don't get homesick anymore. So they triggered that flag because they didn't want you to do that. So, remember those two,
The Shattered Men?
Shattered Men that were right here? You can get in here, investigate that, and leave without killing both Shattered Men. Those two enemies are the only enemies in the game, as far as I know, that aren't random encounters. They're physically placed enemies that are stored in save memory as having been killed or not. Which means you can come back here in post-game and they're still here. This is called the Shattered Man glitch. Because if you come here right now and fight one of them, and get killed by them, you can't game over, because game overing is technically a status effect. So it boots you back to the overworld, where you're standing around, only both you and Paula are both ghosts. And then you're just walking two ghosts around on the overworld.
And you can't heal?
You can't heal or anything.
Do you go to the hospital and do it?
I think if you go to a hospital, it fixes it. That's mostly what I wanted to show you there.
Anywhere else to go?
I'm thinking if there's anything else funny. I mean, there's all kinds of places you can go back and talk to, like, everybody.
Yeah, this Dragon Quest does this. When you beat it, you can go across the world for, like, hours and talk to literally everyone. And most everyone will have a new script for, like, you beat the game kind of thing.
So, this is a call on you. This is your choice to make. We can go to Tucson and drop Paula off. Or, we can go to Onett and do the ending with Paula.
I thought you had to drop her off.
You can do the ending with Paula if you don't drop her off. Because if you go to Tucson, you stop by the Pulsar preschool, and Paula's just like, hey, thanks, everything's cool. And then, like, goodbye. Kind of a tearful goodbye, and then she goes back inside, and that's it. But you can also just go straight back to Onett and go talk to your mom. Which is the end goal, of course. Like, you go home. You drop Paul off, and then you go home. And you actually talk to your mom first, and she kind of tells you, like, hey, you should totally, like, drop your friend off. But then if you talk to her again, you can just do it anyway. So, final note on the ending and Giygas and all that entailed is, I just think that was so oh yeah, I wanted you to go in here and talk to them. So you notice there's a guy in here.
Okay, so that's a relationship that's not going well.
Somewhere. Mr. Pretty Man. So, like, obviously there's nothing overt going on, and maybe right now there's really not, but...
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more.
Yeah. And the guy's name is Mr. Pretty Man.
Yeah.
Like, the idea is he's a bit of a gold digger, I guess. He's mostly here intentionally trying to steal her for the money. And I'm pretty sure his name in Japan is, like, friggin' Mr. Gonna Steal Your Wife or something. Like, I forget what it is, but it had the...
Gonna steal your waifu.
Like, it had that connotation to it.
Nah.
Yeah, again, you can go back in.
I'm just kidding. We're gonna drop her off.
Okay.
I kind of want to stretch everything out so you get your points across.
Yeah, so, like, I guess the last thing I mentioned is, like, I just think that Giygas fight was so friggin' cool. I think everything about it was so cool. I think how it was handled in that same tone as the rest of the game while still being, like, really out of left field tonally I absolutely love it. I really do. It's probably still, to this day, my favorite last boss of, like, anything ever, on top of, like, what is effectively one of my favorite games of all time.
But I mean, it's still one of the most memorable boss fights out there.
Oh, yeah. And on top of that, like, I'm gonna be honest, Giygas is probably what inspired a lot of my love for, like, just eldritch things in general. Because let me tell you, I like me some eldritch things. I'll say the exact same thing.
I'm not fat. I'm just big boned.
I mean, I'm guessing we're probably pretty fit after that friggin' adventure.
I'm working at making better steaks.
Oh, so, this is another small translation issue, is in the Japanese one, he specifically says you can use my bed, his bed, which the implication, of course, is that, like, he sleeps somewhere else, you get to sleep in that bed. But in translation, they realized that doesn't sound right. So they just kind of invented a bed that you could stay in. Nope, sorry, I live here now.
Apparently.
That's okay. As aside from final opinions,
I mean, you have a full credit sequence to go here.
yeah.
So
Aside from final opinions,
at some point, I need to talk.
yeah, I think that's my actual thoughts on all the stupid crap that's been going on, done and out of the way. I think I've spoken enough on the ending and all of that noise. Wow, that means, like, other people are trying to get their money back.
Finally crossing the street! Ah! And that's what it cost you, kids.
And that's why you use a crosswalk.
With this whole game, using the crosswalks, wait till the very end to do crossing the street, and then smash into something while doing it. That is a brick joke, people. That's how you do it. Even though I literally just made it up on the spot, that's how you do it. And hitting the sign was a complete accident, and I just went with it.
But it made the moment.
It made it better. Cause like this whole unless the game wouldn't allow me, this whole playthrough, I hit the crosswalks. Always did it. Never did anything else. Just crosswalks the whole time. Cause Ness is a good boy.
He is.
You suck, Dad.
Heck, I've given you like $500,000. Oh man. So your mom is what ends the game, so you can still go up and talk to Tracy.
Alright, I'm going to bed. So we go out and save the world, and Tracy becomes a businesswoman of great reputation, apparently.
Apparently. Friggin' smart, too. Oh, you can still get your crap. I mean, I guess that's good. They don't want to lock you out of that.
Oh god, we left a letter for Jeff there.
Yeah. Ah, crap, Paula's still got that.
Gotta order
Order pizza. Oh man. Like, I love this.
Can you get a full steak on a pizza? Not chopped up pieces of steak. Like, just like a full steak on... Like T-bone steak, just like on it.
You can if you try hard enough. See, I really like this, though, because, like, these characters aren't the deepest, like, super deep, complicated characters, but they're still people. They still have character. And even something like this, in talking to everybody else, you can tell Ness has grown over the course of this adventure.
And she mentioned the photo man, so obviously he does exist and hasn't been a figment of our imagination.
Okay, I suppose we can keep talking. It's gonna go on for a while, but this
10
song...
out of 10, best game of the year, leaves.
Yeah, this song is amazing, though. As a kid, I had recorded this song I recorded myself playing this game, beating this game, onto a VHS tape.
Yeah,
my
you did
dad,
that with a lot of them.
Yeah, my dad had a way to convert a VHS tape into a video on the computer. I mean, this is an easy thing to do nowadays with capturing stuff. We're doing it right now. But at the time...
I'm sorry, just that sudden realization of like, oh yeah, we're actually doing that right now because we've been doing it for the past 10 years.
Yeah, but 20 years ago, this was not a thing that you could just do. Way hard. But I did that, and then with a sound program on the computer, I recorded the music from this, and had that then burnt onto a CD that I listened to whenever I wanted, because I wanted to have this song. And that's what you had to go to get this music.
Or you could have
I love this cast, too, all these idiots we've seen over the course of the game. I love this game.
Or you could have just gone to Japan and bought it. I mean, that would have been simpler.
Probably. Oh... I love this game. I love these credits, too, and I love how stuff is going on during them. Like, you could just line up all the characters, but instead there's stuff going on. You see the Mr. Saturn and their font and the phase distorter showing up and one getting chased by Belch.
Mr. Saturn's up there creating a pentagram to summon the devil from the past.
Like, this is absolutely the point that I've been trying to make this entire game, which is how much charm the world in this game has. And it's coming out so much, even just right here in the credits, with all the characters we've met over the course of the game, and how every single one of them is a fond memory of like, yeah, I remember that guy, I remember doing that thing, I remember that friggin' Star Master twirling in and teaching a Star Storm.
He really is called a Star Master.
Like, ah! So, because you have to talk too.
At some point,
At some point. So I'll try to get my thoughts out of the way quickly, which, as I've said before, this is one of my favorite games of all time. And the reason for that is I like how lighthearted and almost childish the game is.
Just the random NPCs they use.
But how it still treats itself seriously. It takes itself seriously and can even deal with what is effectively a pretty serious story. I love that the emphasis is on the story instead of the characters. That's personal preference, though. Just all the charm that all the characters and everything have in it. All the charm that the combat has in it, that the battles have in it. Just everything about it, I absolutely love. I have been reminded of a couple oddities in the game engine that were carried over from Dragon Quest as its inspiration, of course. And he's the photo man. No, we gotta pose. Dude, he's good. I think he's gonna take our picture. pose. We gotta pose. Sure.
It's better because I turned it into the finger just at the end there.
Okay, a couple oddities that were carried over from Dragon Quest, because this, in the grand scheme of things, is still a pretty early JRPG.
Yeah.
And some of the things that were carried over a little oddly are things like limited inventory space, which even Dragon Quest later realized, like, hey, maybe we should give you a bag or something, because this is kind of butts.
It's like literally the game after this, the Dragon Quest game came out after this, was like, here's a bag, just put all your items in it.
So, like, there's stuff like that, and the limited inventory is a huge butt over the course of this whole game. Just a lot of the...
I like how they put Satori Iwata at the top of the program. It's like, this guy fucking fixed everything. He gets to be top villain.
So there's stuff like that, and I feel like just the general playing of the game would be so much more pleasant if you didn't have such a restricted inventory. Weird stuff like half the stats don't make sense.
Do?
That's true. But weird stuff like half the stats don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Or just, like, don't do anything. And, like, you see one and go, what does that do? You think it does this? No, it actually doesn't. It does jack all. Like, weird stuff like that. Weird stuff like some of the spells and items.
Ghosts showing up on the photo, even though they weren't there.
It's like, oh. Some of the stuff like some of the items and spells and things just having chances of not working if someone resists, instead of, like, working less likely.
Essentially, it's the whole, like, every spell has a fixed damage, and it's just, like, the more resistance they have, the more likely it's not going to work at all on it.
And these are all kind of standards in JRPGs that we've kind of figured out since now, but we're still in here, and it could do with a little bit of tweaking to help, a little updating, I guess, to figure that out. But otherwise, I don't think it also does weird stuff, like, a lot of the bosses are, like, quick draws almost. Like, the way spells and crits and everything work, you can go into what is otherwise an unreasonably hard boss and just wreck them in, like, 2 turns.
Son of a bitch.
And just wreck them in, like, 1 or 2 turns. But, like, if you don't get that luck, that little bit and everything working out right, then, like,
then the boss is just like...
He just destroys you in, like, 1 or 2 turns. Like, leveling doesn't actually help a huge amount in that regard. It's just those, like, weird oddities where you think, like, I should be able to have a consistently difficult time against enemies and bosses. And if I level up, it should be a consistently slightly easier time.
Did you notice that one photo we took back at the museum had poo in it, and all these ones didn't have them in it?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Discount.
Okay, Discount. Whistle. Belch. Venus. Anyway.
Yeah, so...
You notice the oddities in the system.
Yeah, and that, like, a lot of those things are things that I didn't realize as a kid, but I still had a good I still had a good time with it, and I could still sit down and play this again today, right now, and just have a blast the whole way through.
Oh, see, we did get it.
Yeah. So the only other thing is addressing the elephant in the room very briefly. And I'm going to keep this brief, else I get hung. I have gone on record many times saying I do not like Mother 3.
Listen, I'm just going to add this in here real quick as you're doing that. You do not know how hard it was to say when Pokey was leaving, go like, I'm going to go into another subpar sequel, bye.
Well, I don't like it. I'm not going to talk on that, though. I'm going to straight up say that's personal preference. If you don't agree, whatever. Maybe you like it. Whatever. I don't like it. And I can only hope, over the course of this entire series, everything that I've described that I love about this game, and why I love it about this game, between the nature of the world, between the nature of it, that childlike adventure, exploring through the world, that nature of, it's the kind of thing that you'd come up with as a kid. But everything is still kind of lighthearted and fun, even though it can deal with that kind of serious topic when it needs to, but it does it in that fun way. Just everything that I've mentioned loving about this game. And if you think about how they handled Mother 3, they handled it very differently. And at the end of the day, what it comes what it comes down to at the end of the day is Mother 3 is a very different game from this. Personally, I feel too different. Because of course you want to mix things up, you want to keep things fresh going into a sequel, but I feel like they changed too much. They went too far to the point.
Press a button again.
To the point that it doesn't feel like it's even part of the same series.
It's essentially the same problem we have with Chrono Trigger to Chrono Cross. It's
Chrono Trigger to Chrono Cross, the original dot hack quadrilogy to GU. It's where I feel like a sequel would have been amazing, but I feel like they went too far. And the only way I can really appreciate it is by accepting it on its own terms, instead of thinking of it as a sequel. And if I think about it on its own terms, it's just not my game. I just don't like Mother 3. So I hope that I've at least gotten some of that across over the course of this game. I hope that many of you understand where I'm coming from. And I hope some of you can appreciate my love for this game. And that's everything that I've got to say.
Alright, now for my 20-minute opinion on this game.
You have at it. I will shut up.
I'm working on it, Mom.
Yeah. Meanwhile, long after we've saved the world, why is the friggin'
phone's dead?
It's picky.
He's in a game that was supposed to come out for the N64 DD, but then that thing failed, and that's why it came out in the Game Boy Advance years later. Same thing that happened to Dragon Quest VII.
A sequel hook that doesn't actually lead into the sequel.
God, that just was... I'm not really gonna get into the whole thing, but it's just like all the shit they set up in this, and then it just doesn't really pay off. It's just like annoying. Anyway, my opinion on this game is basically... I like it. It's got enough charm and quirk to get you going through it, but there at some point it kind of falls for me. It's like I guess it's because I didn't play it as a kid, so I guess it's like it's my adulthood going up against what is the childhood adventure kind of thing, and just going like,
and that's fair.
It just doesn't click with me,
and that's fair.
I mean, it's still fun. It's a lot. I think the thing that I could say about this game is it's got its charms and its quirks, but at the same time, those charms and quirks can work against it. Like the whole mushroom status effect, that it's like, hey, it's an interesting idea. It's annoying as hell to deal with it when it happens, but...
Real quick interjection. I'm reminded of something somebody in the comments brought up.
You have to be a tank to do that.
Provoke.
Damn it.
This is something that somebody in the comments brought up, and I feel like to a degree it is actually applicable, but it's what I mentioned about the dialogue in Paper Mario and Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, which I mentioned that the game likes to hear itself talk, and if you are enjoying that commentary, if you're eating that up, then you'll just eat up the dialogue in that game. It'll be the best thing ever. But if it doesn't click with you, it just wears on you.
That's kind of what it was. It's like a lot of the people we talked to was like, but it's definitely a good RPG. It definitely deserves its place. Like I would say, Super NES top 10. It would definitely be in the top 10. Top 5 is pushing it. Like there are probably other ones that it's like would squeak out from the top 5.
And
top
over
3,
time,
you're crazy.
Yeah. And over time, we can kind of look back on it now and realize, as we understand more about games and game development and everything, that the game's not perfect.
Oh, yeah.
At the time, it was phenomenal. And especially if you played it at the time, you can kind of carry that impression forward. And which is why, despite what faults it has, I still love it to death. But I can understand that objectively, the times have changed.
I mean, again, I also play old Dragon Quest games, so, my idea, like, I still like Dragon Quest 2, and that one's like, ugh, in comparison. But
and to be honest, like, I just like this older style JRPG. Doesn't matter if it's today or yesterday or 10 years ago. Like, I prefer this over current trends.
But yeah, no, I like it. It's definitely fun. Yeah, it's really all I can say. It's got its charms. It's got its quirk. I should say before somebody does like well, what quirk does it have?
The charm quirk.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Starstorm quirk. It's the ability to summon meteors and just ruin the entire manga. If that happens at some point, I'm gonna be miffed at myself for predicting it. No, I like it. I had fun. I always have fun. It's a fun game to play. I just think it's one of those ones that it's like a masterpiece kind of thing, but it's also the idea that masterpieces also do age.
Yeah.
Because, they're made when they're made.
Yeah.
And unless you really go in and update the hell out of them constantly, it's just you're gonna get the faults and all. You're gonna get the warts and all kind of thing here. So.
Yeah, and sometimes you can look at something at the time and go, wow, this is amazing, and then 10 years later, technology's improved
That's
enough.
why I still think, like, Ocarina of Time is still a masterpiece. It's just that we've moved on and, like, made better masterpieces. So It's like, it can still be a masterpiece, but then you can look back and go, like, even masterpieces have their faults.
Yeah, and you can say something is a masterpiece and let it be a masterpiece forever. But that does not mean it's without faults.
I still think Pokey's annoying. We should go beat him up.
Yeah, we really should.